Hello everyone, welcome to the Wundertalks. I'm not sure, something happened with the slide. Well, the slide I wanted to go to. Never mind. Oh, it's where. And of course, when we're live, this happens. Welcome to the Wundertalks. This is episode 33. And today we have Raimonds from the Latvian office from Riga, who's going to be talking about his experience rebuilding wunderkraut.lv with Drupal 8. I think this is something that a lot of us are thinking of doing for local offices, and so it's really great to see what has been done already, what are the pain points, what are the advantages, and to see what we can learn from that. Then we're going to have Marcus, who's going to be sharing some experiences from a custom layout solution that they built for a project, something quite advanced and very interesting. So also something, a problem that we all face on a regular basis in our projects. How do you manage content, especially for editors? So, well, let's get started, and we're going to switch here to Raimonds. Hi, Raimonds.
Hi, everybody. My name is Raimonds, and I'm going to share my experiences with Drupal 8. My first experience with Drupal 8 was purely academic. I installed it locally, and I read blog posts about the new features that it provides. And at the same time, we had this idea of refreshing the wunderkraut.lv website. And we really liked the work that was done by guys from Finland, from Finnish office, and their website wunderkraut.lv is very fresh and clean, as you can check it out. So we asked them whether we could base our website on their work, and they kindly agreed to that. And at the same time, we thought that we could combine these two efforts to get the impression of inner workings of Drupal 8 and create an actual project. So myself and the themer, we got together and started with a blank project, of course. And one of the first thing that was very interesting for my mindset that comes from Drupal 7 is that new configuration system has some challenges if you think in terms of Drupal 7, how it works. Because, well, the main interesting thing with Drupal 8 is that the configuration system is very tied to the database, after all. Meaning that if you start to work with other teammates, you can just make a blank site installations on every machine, because there has to be a master database that every other environment's cloned from. And so that was a first obstacle that made me realize that Drupal 8 is quite different from Drupal 7. And so so we had to make a production site and clone from that in order to build features from them on. But after that is done, the configuration management system is awesome, because you don't have to worry about which variable corresponds to whatever settings, and you just change the setting in the user interface, and then you execute a drush config export, and all your settings are exported to files, and you can transfer them to version control system, and every other members can automatically get it and apply it. That's the configuration management system. That's going to be very exciting for people who build websites with Drupal 8. And so another great feature is, of course, a class extension that you can extend or rebuild any inner workings of Drupal 8 with your own classes. And so, for example, we needed to altered the way a link field module behaves, and all that I had to do is alter the class that is responsible for these functions, and so I modified the way that link field module works just by extending the core classes. Well, of course, as we all know, contributed modules are not so many for Drupal 8, but given that views and entity reference modules are in core, you really can do a lot with the modules that are provided by Drupal 8 core. And on our project, in the project, we used only 2 contrib modules that I made myself in my sandboxed repositories. And given that the project itself is very clean and simple, we actually made it happen with Drupal, what Drupal 8 offers, and just a little bit of customization that was put into our own custom modules. And currently, the site is not publicly available. We hope to launch it in 2 or 3 weeks after I come back from vacation. And then I think we can manage another question and answer sessions after the job is done and Insight is available online.
Okay, that sounds quite exciting. I had heard of this issue with not being able to create a site install. So you have a workaround with that. Could you tell a little bit more how the workflow works? There's the active and the passive configuration, right?
Right.
So which do you put in Git, and how does that work when you're working with the team?
Well, actually, I'm not using the active and staging directories that are provided by core. I created another folder that is called exported configuration, and that is that's the directory that is stored in version control. You see, we are using build scripts, and it allows us to manage our custom code separate from country modules code or core code. And so by making these little changes in settings file, we can tell Drupal where our configuration is stored. And therefore, when we export our configuration locally and then push it to Git repository, then other team members just have to pull the changes and execute drush config import command, and everything is exported automatically.
Okay, so your build script takes care of putting that exported configuration into the
separate directory in our directory structure.
Okay, yeah.
So at first we struggled with that to understand how it's going to really work in a teamwork environment, but we really managed to do that, and it works very good.
Okay, very nice. Yeah. Did you migrate any of the content that you currently have?
No, we haven't migrated it. We created it separately because we don't have so many content to worry about migrations.
Okay. Yeah. I think that we have. I heard that Pauli from the Finnish office did also built his blog, his personal blog on Drupal 8. He upgraded it, and so in one case where he had to do the migration. I think it's very interesting to see how different people experimenting with Drupal 8 face different issues. I think that's going to get us a lot closer to having a good overview of the various processes that happen on projects. How much differences did you find in the APIs and especially for site builders perspective? How different was it to build content types, to do these kinds of things?
Content type creation is not really different from Drupal 7 in terms of how you do it using the user interface. Other than that, the inner workings is, of course, very different approach is taken. You have to work a lot with classes. You have to grasp the concept of object-oriented programming. So if you have not done that, this is going to be challenging, of course. And there are not documentation is lacking, meaning that you have to really dig into the code yourself and with debugging and try to understand how things work. Of course, the work is not done with core, and every morning when I open repository viewer, I see that there are 10 or 15 new commits that took place during one night, and so every week I have to take a look whether a site would still work with the latest code, and sometimes it doesn't because some deprecated functions are removed or some slight modifications to the code base, and so sometimes things do break, but you can easily fix them, of course.
Okay. Have you had, when did you get started with this project?
We started, I guess, 3 weeks ago. So in 3 weeks, we got almost, I would say, 80% done with the site.
Okay. Yeah. And yeah, anything that you found a very cool functionality, something that you wished had been fixed for a long time and that is finally there in Drupal 8?
I don't know about that. There are so many great features, so you just get overwhelmed with all the new things that got into Drupal 8.
Mm-hmm. Is there one that's on the top of your head?
I'm really excited that that entity references module is in core and views. So you get a very strong tools for site building out of the box, and that is actually it will lower the barrier for those who are new to Drupal, I guess, because you don't have to install all these modules to just make a simple website.
Mm-hmm. Great. So if you have, now I'm speaking to our visitors. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them to Raymond. He's in our Skype chat, and also you can find him in the company listing. So thank you very much, Raymond. Very interesting to see the site, and also I think there are some measures in place to make sure that we share the code internally more between offices. So I think that's one of the projects that I'm hoping to be able to have a look at soon.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Very interesting. Okay. Thank you, Raymond. And now we're going to move on to the second presentation from Marcus. Marcus, who is actually sitting right next to me in the same office. Yeah, it's great to have you on the Wundertalks, not as a moderator, but as a speaker. And yeah, please, yeah, tell us everything about that solution that you built.
Thank you, Florian. So first, I want to say this is pretty much work in progress, but it's already used in production, and the people liked it so much that are using it right now that I was asked to, hey, why haven't you done this before? Please have a Wunder talk about this, and maybe we can get some feedback if other people have done this before, and or you have some good ideas how we can improve this. So let me share my screen. I brought some slides. So we call this the thing we build. We name it after the custom entity we created for this, and we call them content elements. And if you are familiar with Typo 3, you might know that they have a similar concept there, where you can build pages with content elements. So why have we done this? The problem started out of the fact that a customer of ours, they wanted a new product page, and you might have seen this before. This product page, it should have been like they want 3 columns with text, then 2 columns with an image, then they want to integrate a video in the next line, and then they want some fancy JavaScript there where you can have some animation inside a video, and then you have a map where you can buy the stuff, and so on and so on. And they want to do it all themselves, and they want infinite elements they can group underneath each other, and all has to be responsive, and it should be very easy to maintain. So, well, how have we built this before? We saw solutions where just a giant WYSIWYG field was used with all the plugins CK Editor or TinyMCE is providing, and you know, normally what happens is that a pretty messy code comes out. It's pretty hard to make this responsive. The editors, they get lost with all these WYSIWYG buttons, and they call you, and you look into the HTML, they paste it there, and you find some Microsoft Word markup, and it breaks everything, and so on. And the other solutions I know is you can create a giant node edit form, which has nearly every field and every content or what you can think of, and then use panels in place editor and move things around. So your users have to move around single fields on the panels in place editor, and they have to switch between the layouts, and this is pretty tough for some normal editor who has only to create 1 product page per week, and things can get messed up pretty fast. So this is what we have done in the past, and we would like also to hear how you have, what are your solutions for that. And what we have built now is we came up with this concept Typo 3 has already, and this is what they call content elements. I have a screenshot here, and as you can see, you can choose on the right side, you can choose from a couple of settings and text image combinations, and also you can add things like a web form or like a video or whatever you want, and then you can drag and drop it into the page in the order you would like to have it put out. So we have no drag and drop so far, but we try to rebuild this with Drupal contrib and board elements, and we used basically, and this is how it looks to date. We are still working on it to improve it a bit, especially Benedikt Rötsch. He has fell in love with this thing and is spending lots of his evening in improving this. I think we will soon see some contrib code there. So what did we use here? Basically, let me switch forward a slide. Basically, this is the architectural thing, how it works. We have a node, and we have an entity reference there. And the funny thing there is, we allow the entity reference to use multiple bundles. And then you get a fancy drop-down where you can choose from the bundles. And so you can reference different bundle types of our layout element child entities. We connect with this node. So we have a node, and there's the inline entity form, and this is just a widget for the entity reference, and we reference our layout element. So let's go back one slide. So as you can see here, we built this custom entity, and there's only one special property, and this is, you can see it in the bottom left corner. We save the view mode as a property on the entity. So the customer can switch the editor can switch the view mode of the layout element in the edit form. The reason is we wanted to have, let's say, a layout element with 2 text fields and 1 image, and we want to expose a possibility to have this style differently. And so for this example, we created view modes with, let's say, 1 image big above two columns or something like that. And so the theme or the developer is creating the view mode for these 3 elements, so an image and 2 text thingies. And with the view mode, the editor can change how this will put out right in the node edit form. What you can see on the right side is that this is the fancy dropdown you get if you have a multi-bundle entity reference combined with inline entity form. I have a small demo after that as well. Yeah. Okay, we can start with the demo right now. Let's do it here. So I prepared a small demo node here. So as you can see, we have now a 2 text layout element here. So let's add some more text down here and update it, and then let's add an image one. So hopefully this works. I brought some kitten images with me, and this is the other one. So we have some additional settings here. In this special case, you can change the background color of every row and have a background image and additional stuff, and you can have text on the images, but let's this stay aside for the second. So let's have a look how it looks, and that's how it looks. Yeah. And if we want to reorder that, we can just use our grippies here, which come for free with the inline entity form. And this is just the delta of the entity reference. And as you can see, it's easily to get sorted. And we have no responsiveness here, but we have everything in a single field, and we can add classes to the field, and we can do all kinds of fancy stuff. So let's get back to the slides. So this is basically how it works. So what are our experiences with this concept so far? We got very good feedback that it's easy to use and people are understanding it right out of the box without much explanation. And it's, if you need a new layout element, you just can create a new bundle and add some displays and view modes, and you're done. And then your editor has a new element he can add to the page. And as this, you can use any fields you get here. You can put the videos, you can put text there, you can use table field or whatever you would like. So what's a bit of lacking at the moment, we have no preview. You have to know what the content is there, but there is a, I think there's it's from a sandbox project from Dave Reed, and he built a new inline entity form widget which is rendering a special preview view mode instead of the table. We are looking at that at the moment to give you some feeling what the layout element is displaying on the front end. And there are also some very good hooks. You can improve these inline entity table with your own data. Maybe we do something more in this area. We just show the view mode for now. And also I know from Bene that they added a second layer. So we have now, I think he's experimenting with the layout element and the content element inside it, so you can combine different columns with different elements. And I think they are working on getting rid of panelizer on end panels, because it's pretty hard to configure, and we don't want to expose this to the editors if we don't need to, and it also saves a lot of code and stuff. And as you can see here on the right side, yes, it works multilingual. You only have to use a small patch for entity reference, which makes the entity reference kind of promoting the parent language to the child entities. So yeah, that's basically what I already said. Get rid of panels, better backend with the preview, and yeah, and maybe if we can make this comfortable to some extent, we can build a tool there which we can promote for former Typo 3 users, which is very popular in Germany and not so in the rest of the world. But it might be a way to convince editors that have used it before that it's easier for them to use something like Drupal. So that was it from my side, nearly. There's another project, is called Content Notes. I haven't tried it out for now. I think it does a similar thing, but we have found it too late and had no time to look more into it. If someone has used it, please send us a mail or contact us on the Skype channel. We would love to hear how the work is and how the workflow is doing, and what you think, if it's a good solution. So I think this was my last slide. Yeah, no. Yeah, the main guy who is working on this is Ben at the moment. He is not with us today, but please ping him on Skype if you have some good ideas. He will love to put in your improvements if he has some time. So thank you very much. And this was really my last slide, and I'm giving back to Florian.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's really interesting to see how many different solutions we really make sense for very specific cases. I happen to be familiar with the project, so I think it's definitely true. It's one of those cases where actually Panelizer wouldn't do that great of a job. So this looks like the perfect solution for this kind of project. So very editorially heavy product pages, very, very fancy layout. Yeah, very nice. And as you mentioned, please send any feedback, any comments. This is also one of the goals of these Wundertalks is not only to share what we do, but also to be able to have more discussions and to be able to learn from each other. For next week, we do not have planned, we do not have confirmed speakers yet. If anybody is interested, we definitely have at least one free slot. And otherwise, I think we are through for today. I'd like to thank again our two speakers, Raimonds and Marcus. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. So, goodbye.